Have you ever wondered why sometimes it feels like you're putting in all this effort, but you're not seeing any real progress? And why, in certain moments, you just feel like giving up, as if all the hard work isn't worth it? In today's video, we're diving into a fascinating study that uncovers how a brain chemical called noradrenaline plays a huge role in this process, and more importantly, how you can hack your brain to stay on track with your goals. So today, we're going to talk about something really cool I came across a while back. I even added it to a course I teach because it's that awesome. There's this one slide where I go over this brand new discovery published in a big science journal called Cell. They found something mind-blowing about how our brain works when we feel like giving up on stuff. And you know how that goes, whether it's studying, picking up a new sport, or starting a project, there's always that point where you feel like, why am I even doing this? Well, this research can actually help us understand what's going on in our brain when we get to that point and how we can fight it. So the scientists were curious about what makes an organism just stop doing something like halfway through. They studied these tiny little fish called zebrafish larvae in a lab. Now, I know they're not humans, but stick with me because what they found gives us some pretty cool clues about how our brains work too. Here's the wild part. These scientists discovered that a chemical in the brain called noradrenaline plays a big role in the moment we feel like giving up. Yep, there's actually a biological reason behind it. And the coolest thing is, once you understand how this works, you can literally hack your own brain to keep going when things get tough, whether it's studying for that big test, learning a new hobby, or starting a new job. And hey, if you're enjoying this content and finding it helpful, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel reach more people. And if you're not already, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Plus, if you'd like to support the channel even more and help us keep creating content like this, consider becoming a member. It's a great way to stay connected and help us keep bringing you valuable insights. Thanks for the support. So here's how they did the study, and it's kind of funny if you think about it. They put these little fish in an aquarium, and next to the aquarium, they placed 2 screens on each side. One of the screens made it look like the fish was swimming, but even though the fish was putting in effort, nothing was really changing in its surroundings. Basically, it's like the fish was swimming but staying in the same spot. Kinda frustrating, right? Now think about how this relates to us. Imagine you're working super hard, putting in all this effort, but you feel like you're not moving forward at all, just like that fish. You start feeling tired, unmotivated, and your brain is like, okay, maybe it's time to quit. But here's where the trick comes in. In the second group of fish, they made the screen move backward as the fish swam, so the fish felt like its effort was actually making a difference. It felt like it was moving forward even more. And guess what? Yes, the fish kept swimming longer and didn't give up so easily. Now, what can we take from this? Well, whether you're trying to stick with studying or get through a tough workout, your brain is always watching for progress. If you feel like you're not getting anywhere, it's more likely you'll throw in the towel. But if you can find small ways to notice progress, little wins here and there, it boosts your motivation. That's the noradrenaline working for you, giving you that push to keep going. Think about this next time you're stuck on a task that feels endless. Instead of focusing on the big goal that seems far away, try celebrating the tiny steps you're taking. You'll feel a lot more like that second fish, the one that keeps swimming because it knows it's actually getting somewhere. Pretty cool, right? This mix of neurobiology and even some old Buddhist wisdom, like focusing on the journey and not just the end result, can really help us stay on track when things get tough. So yeah, next time you're feeling stuck, remember, keep swimming, find those little wins, and your brain will follow. All right, let's break this down in a way that's super easy to get. Imagine you're chilling in one of those fancy pools with a current, where the water is always pushing against you. So you're swimming your heart out, but you never actually move forward. You're stuck in the middle, no matter how hard you try. Now, picture a different pool where you swim, and this time you can feel yourself making progress. You see yourself getting closer and closer to the edge, and that makes you feel like all your effort is paying off. That's exactly what the researchers were trying to simulate in their study. So they put these tiny fish in situations just like that, sometimes making them feel like they weren't getting anywhere, and sometimes giving them the sense of moving forward. What they were really interested in was how the neurons in the fish's brain reacted. Neurons, by the way, are the little brain cells that help us think, feel, and basically do everything we do. And the specific neurons they were looking at are called noradrenergic neurons. These guys work with a chemical called noradrenaline, which is kind of like adrenaline, but for your brain. It's the stuff that kicks in when you need to focus, pay attention, and get things done. Like when you're cramming for a test or in the middle of a big project, your brain is pumping out noradrenaline to keep you going. Here's where it gets interesting. The researchers noticed that when these little fish were trying really hard, but not getting anywhere, noradrenaline started building up in their brains. And if it built up too much, it actually caused the fish to give up. Pretty wild, right? It's like the brain is saying, okay, enough already, time to stop. But the plot thickens. There are these other cells in the brain called glial cells, which for the longest time people thought were just like the support crew for neurons, sort of like the dough around chocolate chips in a cookie. But now we know they do so much more. They help keep things balanced in the brain, clean up, and even regulate how much of certain chemicals like noradrenaline are hanging around. In this study, the glial cells were watching those noradrenaline levels, and when things got too high, they basically told the brain, hey, it's time to stop trying. So what does this mean for us humans? Well, think about when you're working super hard on something, but it feels like you're not getting anywhere. Like studying for hours and not remembering anything, or working on a project that's not making progress. Your brain might hit a point where it's like, this isn't worth it, and you start to lose motivation and feel like giving up. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes sense. Imagine an animal, like a horse or cow, stuck in mud. If it keeps struggling without getting anywhere, it could waste all its energy and end up worse off. So, over time, animals and humans develop this system where the brain evaluates whether our effort is useful or just a waste of energy. If it's not useful, the brain tells us to stop, which might have been helpful for survival back in the day. But here's the twist. There's another brain chemical in the mix called dopamine. You've probably heard of it. It's the feel-good chemical that makes you feel motivated and happy when you accomplish things. Well, dopamine can actually help counterbalance noradrenaline. So if you're about to give up on something, dopamine can step in and lower those noradrenaline levels, giving you that extra boost to keep going. So in a way, our brains are running this constant calculation. Is what I'm doing worth it? If not, noradrenaline rises, and we feel like giving up. But if you can trigger some dopamine, maybe by focusing on a small win or reward, you can keep yourself going even when it's tough. This is a pretty cool hack to keep in mind the next time you're feeling stuck. Just remember, your brain's got a whole system for this, and you can learn to work with it. Alright, so how can we actually use all this brain science stuff in real life? Let's say you've started hitting the gym or studying a new subject, but after a while you're feeling like, ugh, am I even getting anywhere? When you don't see immediate progress, it's super easy to get discouraged and think, what's the point? And that's when your brain's quitting mechanisms kick in, making you want to stop. Here's the trick. Learn to recognize your progress, even when it's not super obvious. A lot of people ask, okay, but how do I do that? And it's actually not as hard as you might think. Let's break it down with an example. Imagine you're at the gym. Every single time you contract a muscle, you're doing more than just lifting weights. You're setting off a whole chain of positive changes in your body, things like better insulin and glucose regulation, cardiovascular benefits, and even improvements in how well your brain works. Your attention sharpens, your mood gets better, and your ability to handle stress improves. You might not see these things in the mirror right away, but they're happening. If you only focus on the big, obvious results, like losing weight or getting bigger muscles, you might miss out on all the other benefits happening in the background. And that's when your brain, specifically the noradrenaline system, might decide, hey, this isn't worth it, and you'll start losing motivation. But here's the good news. When you feel your noradrenaline levels rising, when you start to think, why am I doing this? You can hack your brain by boosting your dopamine. And one of the best ways to do that is by shifting your focus to the progress you are making, even if it's not what you initially expected. When you recognize those little wins, your dopamine goes up, noradrenaline goes down, and suddenly you feel motivated to keep going. I do this all the time in my own life. Whenever I start a new activity, whether it's a workout routine or a new project where the rewards aren't immediate, I actively remind myself of the progress I'm making, even if it's small. For example, at the gym, instead of waiting to see my muscles grow, I think about the immediate benefits that are happening in my body at a cellular level. Knowing that I'm improving my health, energy, and even my brain function motivates me to stick with it, even when the visual results aren't there yet. It's like you're training your brain to keep going by feeding it small hits of dopamine along the way. This doesn't happen on autopilot. You have to actively focus on the positive changes, even the ones you can't see right away. But the more you do it, the easier it gets to stay on track. So whether you're starting a study routine, a new project, or a workout, make sure you're finding ways to notice progress, no matter how small. For studying, maybe it's understanding a new concept or finishing a chapter. For working out, think about how your strength is improving or how much better you feel afterward, even if the results you want aren't showing up just yet. When you do this, your brain won't see your efforts as useless, and you'll be way less likely to give up. This mindset shift has been a game changer for me. When I'm at the gym, I don't just focus on what I hope to see later, like bigger muscles. I remind myself of all the cool things happening inside my body right now. That keeps me motivated, and it's exactly why I stick with it, even when the big results take time. So try it out. Next time you're feeling stuck or ready to quit, stop and think about all the behind-the-scenes progress you're making. Trust me, it'll make a huge difference. All right, so now you know how your brain works when it comes to giving up and how you can hack it to stay motivated by recognizing your progress. Whether it's hitting the gym, studying, or tackling any big project, remember, those small wins are key to keeping you going. Thanks so much for sticking with me until the end of the video. If you found this helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you can catch all the new content coming your way. And hey, if you know someone who might be struggling to stay motivated, share this video with them. It could make all the difference. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.